Well, good Monday morning. Welcome to Jesus Said, about 5 minutes of a soundbite version of a command of Jesus, just so as disciples we can put those commands into action. Today, on this Monday, good morning, Adam. Glad to see you checking in. Today, we have something a little bit different that we're trying. We have a guest disciple that is going to talk about today's Jesus Said. So let's welcome Jesus Gonzalez.
Good morning. This is Jesus Gonzalez. I'm with you here today to do the Jesus Said. It's a 5-minute soundbite about what Jesus said at 7:55. So today's Jesus Said is about being quietly generous. We'll be reading from Matthew chapter 6, verse 1 through 4. And starting out in chapter 1, Jesus says, "Watch out. Don't do your good deeds publicly to be admired by others, for you will lose the reward from your Father in heaven." Verse 2, he says, "When you give to someone in need, don't do as the hypocrites do, blowing trumpets in the synagogues and the streets to call attention to their acts of charity. I tell you the truth, they have received all the reward they will ever get. But when you give to someone in need, don't let your left hand know what your right hand is doing. Give your gifts in private, and your Father, who sees everything, will reward you." So I think when Jesus speaks to us, he would always speak from a place of knowing how we are as people. He knows that, unfortunately, it's most people's innate desire to be recognized. I think of now, you think of people and participation trophies. You think of how everyone's being recognized for something here in this day, and how there's always this constant need to put people in the spotlight for doing things that maybe are a big deal or maybe really aren't. And what Jesus is saying is don't do your good deeds publicly so that way you get that praise, so that way you get that recognition. Because when you do that, you're going to lose all that reward that you could have gotten in heaven. And he talks about blowing trumpets. So were these people actually blowing trumpets? No, it's about that context of these people were just trying to get attention. It wasn't necessarily blowing an actual trumpet, but it was that desire of, hey, look what I'm doing and see it. Because Jesus knew that it's in our heart a lot of the time to want that recognition, to want that praise for other people. So we do things so other people see it. And then he goes on to say, give your gifts in private, and your Father who sees everything will reward you. So now when Jesus was saying this, was he saying that we're not supposed to give in public, like we're not supposed to give in the temple or in the synagogues? No. In fact, in Luke, Jesus was in the temple and he's watching people give, and he watches some rich people dropping their coins in the collection box, and they're giving of their excess. They're giving all this money. And then he sees a poor widow come by and she drops in 2 small coins. And then Jesus tells them, I tell you the truth, this poor widow is giving more than all the rest of them. And now, while they were doing that publicly, there wasn't an issue with what they were doing, is how they were doing it, which is, again, what Jesus is trying to even get to with this. It's not the fact that we can't give publicly or that we have to, do everything in secret. No, he's saying, what's your heart's intent? Why are you doing what you're doing? Are you doing what you're doing so people will recognize you? Or are you doing what you're doing to bless others as Jesus calls us to do? And are you doing it to glorify your Father in heaven? Are you doing it to show people how good you are? Or are you doing it to show people how good God is? And that's what Jesus is trying to get us to understand, I believe, with this passage, in being quietly generous. Give and give and give and give some more. But do it in a way that your heart is right, and it's not for any accolade or trophy or recognition that you might obtain by doing it, but instead it's doing it with the right heart that's setting out to glorify God. A heart that isn't about yourself or selfish pride or ambition, but instead it's selfless and giving to others and wanting to show people just how good God is in your life and how much you want to bless other people for that. So this leaves us with the question, how can we put that into action today? So I want to leave you with that. As you go through your day and you're doing things for other people, or you find an opportunity to do it, before you do it, maybe ask yourself that, am I doing this for me so I can be recognized, or I'm doing this for other people? And have that question on your mind. How can we put this into action today? Thank you.
Thank you, Jesus. Awesome word. Jesus said, be quietly generous. If these 755 live sound bites are meaningful to you, it really means a lot if you like it, if you share it on social media, and just hope that you have an amazing day. And remember what Jesus said, be quietly generous and put that into action today.